Happy Easter, everyone! For a lot of people, today means rebirth, and today is undeniably associated with bunnies. So for today's yoga practice, we're going to focus on rejuvenating our bodies, so working on some back bends and some flexibility poses. And in relation to bunnies, we're also going to be working on our legs, so we have the strength to hop around. So if you're ready, let's get started with this Easter yoga sequence. Okay, to get started, we're going to start with some poses in the nature. So we're going to start with some mountain poses and tree poses. So to do that, first, let's make sure that we're standing up straight. So your feet are together, parallel to each other, and then your whole body is trying to be just one stick. So everything is stacked right on top of each other, and you try to straighten up your body as much as possible, okay? So I'm gonna step back a little bit so you can see me a little bit better, but with one breath in, just lift everything up. Just feeling like there's a string pulling you through the crown of your head. So when you breathe in, you lift up and really straighten up everything. Maybe open your shoulders a little bit and breathe out, root through your feet a little bit. So this is a mountain pose. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, just straighten everything and lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, root through your feet a little bit more. Okay, and let's add some hand movements. So breathe in, maybe with tiny bend in your legs. Let's bring our hands through our sides to be on top of our heads and together. Okay, so breathe in and thinking about lifting up. And breathe out, bring your hands down to your sides. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, bring your hands through your sides to be on top of your head, hands together. And breathe out, bring your hands down to your sides. Perfect. And from here, we're going to transition into some tree poses. Let's first start by lifting your right leg. Okay, so bring your right leg closer to your upper body. And then maybe with the help of your hands, bring your right foot to be supported by your left leg. So your right foot can land anywhere but your left knee on your left leg, okay? And this is to prevent us from having any knee injuries. Okay, so once you find an optimal foot positioning for you, try to open up your right knee to the side a little bit. So when you breathe in, kind of thinking about pushing your right knee to be pointing towards your right side. Okay, and then once you do that, make sure that your hips are leveled. So basically it means that you feel like the top of your hip bones are leveled, okay, are at the same level. Okay, and once you feel like you've gotten that balance, then we can bring our hands up. So with one breath in, bring your hands through your sides to be on top of your head again, hands together. And breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, just root a little bit deeper through your left foot. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out. You can bring your hands through your sides to be by your side. Okay, and then with the help of your hand, maybe you can bring your right leg down to meet your left leg. Perfect, and let's do everything on the other side. So with one breath in, bring your left leg up, and then you can open your left leg and try to place your left foot on anywhere but your right knee of your right leg. Okay, and once you find a good foot positioning, maybe you can use your hand to help you open your left knee a little bit more. So with one breath in, just thinking about pointing that left knee more towards the left side. Okay, make sure your hips are leveled again. And then once you feel like you're balanced, let's bring our hands up. So breathe in, bring your hands through your sides to be on top of your head, and hands are together. Okay, let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, root through your right foot. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head. And when you breathe out, you can bring your hands down to your sides. Perfect. And then with the help of your hands, maybe you can bring your left leg down, left foot meeting your right foot. Perfect. And then we're gonna do something really fun, which is kind of like a rabbit hopping position. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna open our feet up. So your feet are gonna be a little bit wider than your hips. And then you're gonna bring your toes to be at 45 degrees angles. So your feet are pointing towards the top corners of your mat. Okay, the reason why we're doing this is to get ourselves ready for a sumo squat. So when you squat down, this is kind of like how sumo fighters are getting in position before fighting each other. So find the right foot positioning and make sure that your feet are in line with each other, and then allow yourself to squat down into a sumo squat. But what we're gonna do is actually gonna be some spinal twists as well. So this position is called a malasana in yoga, and it's really good for a hip opening. So after you squat down, you can bring your hands to your thighs to support yourself a little bit, because this is a pretty deep hip stretch. Okay, and then once again, check your feet positioning. So what you really want is that your knees are stacked right on top of your heels. So maybe you need to move a little bit to make sure that you have the right alignment. Perfect. And once you feel like you have the right alignment, we can engage in some spinal twists. So with one breath in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head as well. Okay, and when we breathe out, we're gonna bring our right shoulders forward. So twisting our upper bodies to the left side this time. Okay, so this is a left side spinal twist, and it's really good for opening our right hip and also opening your waist and your shoulders. Okay, so let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, bring your right shoulder forward a little bit more. Okay, let's do this one more time. Breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out, twist your upper body to your left side a little bit more. Perfect. And then when you breathe in, you can come into a neutral position. And if your legs are getting a little bit sore, feel free to stand up and get back into position. But whenever you're ready, let's go to the other side. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, bring your left shoulder forward, upper body turning to your right side. Perfect. Let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, open your upper body to the right side a little bit more. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, twist a little bit more. Perfect. And then with one more breath in, you're gonna come to the center, and then this time you can use your legs to prop you back to standing up. Perfect. So this is our opening sequence, and from here we're gonna step, or you can hop as if you're a little bunny to the top of your mat, facing one short edge of your mat. Perfect. All right, and we're gonna do some standing sequences. All right, we're first gonna step our right feet to the back. Okay, so directly to the back, and your right leg should be as straight as possible for now, and your left leg is bent. Okay, and then this will get us into a high lunge position. So all the toes are facing forward right now, and make sure that your hips are leveled again. And once you feel like you have the good alignment, then we'll breathe in, bring our hands up through our sides to be on top of our heads, and hands are together. Perfect. Let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift up, and breathe out. Sink a little bit deeper. And as you can see, I can actually widen my stance a little bit. So when I do that 2 cycles of breath, I'm going to adjust my stance to deepen my practice. Okay, one more time. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head and breathe out. Sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And from here, I'm gonna go turn to my right side to open up into a warrior two. Okay, so a couple of things have happened. So your right toes are pointing forward now, pointing towards me. And your upper body is facing to your right side, so facing me right now. But your left leg is basically stationary, supporting you this whole time. Okay, and then your arms are opened to your sides, parallel to the ground. Okay, so now you're in a warrior two. And from here, we're gonna do first a peaceful warrior. To do that, you bring your left arm to be resting on your left leg, and then your right arm is gonna follow your head and maybe like resting somewhere close to your right ear. Okay, let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head again, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, we can sink a little bit deeper. And then we're gonna reverse that action by going into a reverse warrior. So maybe bring your right hand somewhere on your right leg to support you, and your body is gonna lean towards the right side now, okay? And then your left arm is gonna follow your head to be somewhere close to your left ear. Okay, and if you feel like you're pretty grounded, you can bring your gaze up to the sky, and we're gonna be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And from here, let's first bring our arms to be parallel to the ground again to come back to a warrior two. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna straighten that left leg, so both legs are straight now, and we're gonna go into a triangle pose. So to do that, you kind of keep the plane of your arms, and then just kind of rotate to your left side. So your left hand is resting on the ground or somewhere on your left leg to support you. Okay, and then your right arm is pointing straight up towards the sky, and your fingertips are pointing towards the sky. Okay, let's be here for 2 breaths as well. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe bring your gaze up, follow your fingertips. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, lengthen through your fingertips. Perfect. And from here, we're gonna go into a half moon, right? So what you're gonna do is that your whole body is gonna move forward. So if you have anything that's in front of your mat, maybe you wanna move it so you don't hit it. But what we're gonna do is basically support ourselves with nothing but our left hands and our left legs. Okay, so how to do that? So you can bend your left leg first and put your left hand down to the ground. And then with that momentum, you can bring your right leg up to be parallel to the ground, and you're in a half moon position. Perfect. And let's be here for 2 breaths as well. So, well, if you feel like you want to challenge your balance, you can bring your hands up, even your left hand up. But if you really need that support, there's no problem just keeping your left hand firmly on the ground. Okay, so try to open to your right side as much as possible. So just try to face me as much as possible, and try to bring your whole body into one plane, okay? All right, let's be here for 1 more breath. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out. You can step your right leg back and step your right foot onto the ground behind you. Perfect. And we're back into a warrior two. Okay, and from here, we're first gonna turn back into a high lunge pose. So pivot your right foot. So all of your toes are facing forward now, and your hips are leveled. And then from here, we're gonna lean forward, lift your right leg up into a warrior three. Okay, so let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and maybe you can lift and prop your upper body up a little bit, and breathe out, maybe root a little bit deeper through your left foot. One more time, breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And to come out, we're gonna land our right legs back to be behind us, and then we're gonna transition through a chair pose. Okay, so how you can think about it is basically your left leg is already bent, so all you need to do is to bring your right leg to match your left leg, and then you're gonna prop up your body and try to bring your hands to be on top of your heads. But let's do this in a couple of steps. So first, step your right foot to be right next to your left foot. Okay, so both legs are bent, and then you can prop your upper body up and bring your hands through your sides to be on top of your head to come into a chair pose. Perfect. Okay, so let's be here for one breath. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out. You're gonna step your left leg back. Perfect. So hands can be parallel to each other, shoulder width apart. And now you're in a high lunge on the other side. Okay, so that was a very engaging transition, but we're in a high lunge, so make sure that all of your toes are pointing forward and your hips are leveled and your hands are parallel to each other, shoulder width apart. Okay, and from here we're gonna do everything on the other side. So with one breath in, you're gonna open up to your left side into a warrior two. Okay, so what has happened is that your left foot pivoted so that your left toes are facing your left side now, and your upper body is facing your left side as well, and your arms are open up to your sides parallel to the ground. Perfect. Let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe I sink a little bit deeper. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. And from here, we're first gonna go into a peaceful warrior by bringing your right arm to your right leg, right thigh especially, and then your body will naturally fall towards your right side, and let your left arm follow your head to be somewhere close to your left ear. Okay, let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And from here, we're gonna reverse everything by leaning towards your left side this time. So left hand on your left leg, and your right arm is gonna follow your body to lean towards your left side and find a position close to your right ear. Let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And with 1 breath in, we're first gonna come into a warrior 2 position again. And then you're gonna straighten your right leg. So both of your legs are straightened, and you probably felt this pull of your body leaning towards the right side. So follow that intuition to come into a triangle pose. Okay, so your right hand can be on your right leg or on the ground, depending on what feels good for you today. And your left fingertips pointing towards the sky. Great. And we'll be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, thinking about lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe sink a little bit deeper, and you can bring your gaze to your fingertips. One more time, breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe lengthen through your fingertips. And from here, we're gonna go into a half moon pose. So to do that, we know that we are only gonna be supporting ourselves with our right feet and our right hands. So you can first engage your right leg by bending your right leg. And then with that momentum, you lift your left leg up. So you're only supporting yourself by your right limbs. right hand and your right leg. Okay, so try to be in one plane. Try to put your whole body in one plane. All right, and once you feel like you are balanced, let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe root a little bit deeper through your right foot. Okay, one more time, lengthen through the crown of your head when you breathe in. And when you breathe out, you can step back into a warrior 2. Okay, perfect. And from here, we're gonna pivot back into that high lunge. All right, and then we're gonna come into a warrior 3. So your hands can be right next to your right foot on the ground, and then your right leg can be bent to give you that momentum to lift your left leg up. Okay. All right, 3 points of contact, your hands and your right foot. All right, and your left leg, try to make it straight. And let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe sink a little bit deeper. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Perfect. And then you can lower your right foot onto the ground to be behind you. And then you can lift your upper body up back into a high lunge. So toes pointing forward, hips leveled, and your arms are parallel to each other. Perfect. And from here, we're gonna go down into a couple of poses on the ground. So to do that, you're just gonna lower your upper body down, so hands on the ground beside your right foot, and then step your right foot back into a low lunge. And then we're gonna do a quick chaturanga so we can lie on our stomachs. So kind of like a push up, but you just lie down instead of having to push up. So not a bad deal. Okay, and once you're on the ground, we're first gonna do a couple of back bends. Back bends are really energizing poses. So this is the rejuvenation part that we're talking about. Okay, so first, we're just gonna bring our foreheads to the ground, and maybe your hands are free. Okay, and bring them to be behind your head, and maybe like right behind your ears. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a baby back bend. Okay, so hands behind your head, and then with 1 breath in, we lift up. So this is a crocodile pose. Okay, so your legs are up, and your head is up, and your arms are up. So we're supported by nothing but our stomachs, so our cores. Okay, let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe you bend a little bit more. Breathe in, lengthen. Breathe out, maybe bend a little bit more. And now one more time, breathe in, lengthen. And when you breathe out, you can come onto the ground. Perfect. So that was a crocodile pose. And now we're gonna do a very similar thing, but with our hands right by our sides. So our hands are still gonna lift up, but this is just not with a lot of support for your head. So let's do this locust pose. So with 1 breath in, lift all your limbs up and just balance yourself on your core. And your hands are also lifted, and your arms are by your sides, okay? So let's be here for 2 breaths. Breath in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe bend a little bit more. One more time, breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe bend a little bit more. Perfect. And then breathe in, really lengthen, and breathe out, bring everything onto the ground. Perfect. And if you have the flexibility to do 1 more back bend, we're gonna go into a bow pose. So to do that, you can bend your legs and try to bring your feet to your buttocks. And then you can hold on to your feet with your hands. All right. And then, well, I do find it easier if you grab the inner sides of your feet, but you can also grab the outer sides of your feet. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift everything up again, and only support ourselves with our cores. Okay, so it's a little bit more intense than before, but we already warmed up for this. So if you're inclined, let's, with one breath in, just lift everything up. The connection between your hands or feet are still there, okay? So keep that connection. Okay, breathe in, lift everything up, and breathe out, maybe bend a little bit more. Breathe in, lift everything up, and breathe out everything onto the ground. You deserve that. Okay, perfect. And from here, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna kind of support ourselves, hands around our ribs, support ourselves to be kind of in a tabletop position. So through a tabletop position, we're gonna go into a dolphin pose. So stretch our shoulders a little bit. So keep that 90-degree bend on your legs, but keep walking your hands forward into a dolphin pose. So we're gonna be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out. Sink a little bit deeper, maybe sink your shoulders more. Let's do this one more time. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. All right, and then let's prop our toes to bring ourselves into a dolphin plank. Okay, so a dolphin plank basically is kind of like a forearm plank, but you can hike up your hips. Okay. All right, so let's be here for 2 breaths. So forearms on the ground, hips elevated. It's a dolphin plank, or you can just be in a forearm plank, whichever suits you better. So let's be here for 1 more breath. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out. Engage your core a little bit more. Perfect. And then you can go into a tabletop as a transition, but see how I'm bringing my legs to be right next to each other? That's because we're gonna sit down while we keep our knees together, but our feet apart. So what that means is that you're gonna see that I'm creating this little triangle hollow with my knees together, but my feet apart, kind of hip distance apart. And then when I sit down, I'm sitting on the ground with my heels close to my butt. But if you feel like this is too much, feel free to just not sit all the way down, but be a little bit prompt up. Maybe you can have a little block so that you're not seated all the way down, okay? You can also maybe like hold your heels a little bit and sit on your hands more than sitting on the ground. Perfect. First, I'm gonna bring my left leg straight. So to do that, you can kind of try to almost like going back to a tabletop position, but bring your left leg forward. Perfect. All right, and from here, we're gonna do a very intense leg stretch, which is a hero pose. So we're going from a hero pose to a hero pose. So if your knee is really bothering you, then you can open your foot a little bit more to the side, so you don't have to bring your foot all the way to be close to your buttock. Find a position that works well for you. If that's really not working well for you, just rotate your knee 180 degrees and bring your right foot to be touching your inner left thigh. All right, so whichever position you're in, either you're in a half hero pose, heels by your buttocks, or rotating the other way around. Okay, and then with 1 breath in, you're gonna lift your left leg up, and you might need to hold on to your left leg with your hands, and then you're gonna gradually try to bring your left leg up a little bit more. Okay, so you're gonna feel a lot of hamstring stretch here, so it might be very intense, but just be in a position that feels good for you. And let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out. Maybe I want to bring my leg closer to me a little bit more. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out. Maybe bring it closer to me. And then when we breathe in, we can lower our left legs on the ground, and then bring your right leg, so hug your right leg, bring your right foot onto the ground, and we're gonna try to go into a Marichi pose. So left leg straightened forward, and then right leg is bent. And then you're gonna try to come into a bind. So bring your right arm to be inside your right knee. All right, and then you're gonna try to connect your hands together on the right side. Okay, so come into a bind outside of your right knee, okay? All right, so let's be here for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe twist your left shoulder more towards the back. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out, twist a little bit more. Okay, and then when you breathe in, you can unlock your hands, and then you're gonna bring your right leg bent as well, but bring your right foot to be closer to your left hip, and then your right leg is gonna come on top of your left leg, and your left foot is gonna be on the ground, propping your left leg up to be super close to your upper body. Okay, and this will get us ready for a half Lord of Fish pose. So it's a spinal twist pose. Okay, so with 1 breath in, thinking about lifting through the crown of your head, and then when you breathe out, you're gonna twist your upper body to your left side and try to bring your right arm to be on the outer side of your left leg. Okay, 1 breath in, lift up, and breathe out, twist a little bit deeper. One more time, breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, twist a little bit deeper. Okay, and then when we breathe in, we can relax our legs. Maybe you just throw your legs forward and shake them a little bit. Okay, and now we can do everything on the other side. So you can bring your left leg into this half hero pose, heels right next to your left butt cheek, and then your right leg is straight and forward. Perfect. And once you're ready, when you breathe in, lengthen your upper body, and when you breathe out, kick your right leg up. Okay, and hold on to it with your hands. Okay, and then through 2 breaths, we're gonna deepen that hamstring stretch. So breathe in, lengthen your upper body, and breathe out, bring your right leg closer to your body. One more time, breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out, bend a little bit more. And then when you breathe in, lower your right leg onto the ground and bring your left leg too close to your upper body. So hug your left leg. Okay, in a bend. All right, and from here, we're gonna go into a Maharishi pose. Okay, so bring your left arm to your inner left leg. And then you're gonna rotate your elbow so that you can come into a bind on the other side. So right hand meet your left hand on the outer side of your left leg. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, maybe thinking about twisting to your left side a little bit more. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out, twist a little bit more. Perfect. And then when you breathe in, you're gonna come out of the bind, and then you're gonna bring your left leg bent, your left foot next to your right butt cheek this time, and then your right foot on the ground on the outside of your left thigh, and then your right knee is propped up. Perfect. 1 breath in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, turn to your right side, and try to bring your left arm to the outside of your right thigh so that you can deepen that twist. Okay, let's be in this half Lord of the Fish for 2 breaths. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, twist a little bit more. Breathe in, lengthen through the crown of your head, and breathe out, twist a little bit more. And breathe in. When you're ready, you're gonna come to facing forward, and then just unlock your legs and let them go straight forward for a little bit. We have several seated positions, one of which is really good for opening your shoulders. So we're gonna come into a cow face, and to do that, you're gonna stack your legs bent, but your knees on top of each other, okay? So your heels are trying to be right next to your hips in the bent position, and then your knees are stacked on top of each other. So you kind of have like two V shapes. The outer edges of the V's are overlapped. So that's what your legs are gonna look like. Okay, and then once you feel like you're used to that very intense squeeze in your hips, try to bring your upper body straight up again, okay? And then we're gonna come into a cow face, which is a bind again. So bring your left arm down behind you, and then your right arm above your head. And then you're gonna bend both arms and then try to bring your hands together somewhere on your back, okay? If you can't reach, just try to engage in that reaching sensation as if your hands are gonna meet together, okay? Let's be here for 2 breaths. So breathe in, lift up, breathe out. Try to engage in that bend a little bit more. Breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, engage in that bend a little bit more. And then when you breathe in, release your hands and come out of this cow face and shift the order of your legs. So maybe your right leg is below and your left leg is above now. Okay, and try to bring your feet to be close to your hips one more time. And then once you're used to that really intense squeeze in your hips, bring your upper body straight up. Okay, and then this time you're gonna bring your right arm down, left arm up, and then twist them so you can come into a bind. Okay, so let's be here for 2 breaths. If you cannot be in a bind, just thinking about engaging in that reaching sensation from both arms. Breathe in, lengthen, breathe out, deepen into the bind. Breathe in, lengthen, and breathe out, deepen the bind. And then when you breathe in, release your hands and release your legs this time. Just let your legs go straight forward to come into a staff pose. Okay, all right. And then we're gonna release that squeeze in our hips by coming into a butterfly pose. So bring your feet together, close to your groin. All right, and your knees are falling to the sides on each side. Okay, so maybe your hips are kind of tight right now, so your feet are not that close to your hips, but that's okay. So just find an optimal position. And then we're gonna fold forward a little bit, so also leave some room for that. Okay, so once you find your ideal hips, legs positioning, let's, with 1 breath in, lift of upper bodies up, and be here for 1 more breath. And breathe out, thinking about rooting through your butt cheeks a little bit more. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, root through your butt cheeks a little bit more. Okay, and now we're gonna fold forward a little bit to really open our hips. Okay, so breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, fold forward a little bit more. And if you wanna be able to fold forward more, maybe you need to walk your feet forward a little bit more. That's totally fine. So breathe in, lift up, and breathe out, fold forward. Breathe in, lift through the crown of your head, and breathe out, fold forward a little bit more. And you can feel free to be here for a little bit longer, or if you feel like you had enough of hip openings, feel free to walk your hands back and then just come into either a little ball position by hugging your knees to your body, or just come into an easy pose so your legs are crossed and you're just sitting comfortably. But that's it for our practice. Thank you so much for joining me in this Easter yoga. We did a lot of leg strengthening workouts, and we also did some tiny back bends to rejuvenate our bodies. So I hope that this will start your day in a great way, and hope you enjoy your rejuvenation and rebirth of your spirit. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the mat next time. Bye.